Good morning. Thanks for joining the OSG webinar today on Is Big Data Analytics Enough to Solve Your Customer Experience and Growth Problems? My name is Jyoti Atreya, and I'll be your presenter today. Dr. Sukumar, our founder and CEO, is unfortunately not able to join this webinar. We apologize for that, but I'll more than make up for his absence in the next 30 minutes. Before we get underway, I would like to start with a brief introduction. First about the organization OSG, and then a little bit about me before we dive deeper into the topic for today. So OSG is the catalyst for customer-centric growth. And what we mean by that, right? We help our clients uncover the drivers of customer behavior and engagement, leveraging our powerful behavioral and cognitive analytics-based products, leading to unprecedented revenue growth. How are we able to do that? Once we uncover what matters most to customers and why, we are able to inform our clients how they can engage with their customers better and how they can look to change their behaviors and drive behavioral change. This endears our clients and their brands to their customers, driving superior engagement and thereby facilitating significant revenue and profit growth. Over the past decade of our existence, we have delivered over $80 billion in incremental value to our clients, over 800 plus engagements. We are present in 5 verticals, or we operate in 5 verticals: life sciences, retail, CPG, financial services, and energy. And we have a global presence serving Fortune 1000 and leading clients across the globe. A little bit about me. I lead the APAC and Middle East business for OSG, and I'm responsible for sales and operations in the region. I work closely with our clients in Asia Pacific and Middle East, and I have over 15 plus years of experience in technology, healthcare, product management, and business to business space. I'm an engineer by training, and I have a business degree from University of Pennsylvania. So now, moving on to the topic of interest, is big data analytics enough to solve your customer experience and growth problems, right? What are some of the challenges in leveraging the power of big data? I mean, big data is a huge buzzword today, right? Everywhere we look at, we see big data. And every organization is looking to leverage big data, and more importantly, the insights that it can deliver to differentiate and grow in a very crowded and competitive marketplace. However, there are significant inefficiencies and gaps that exist in realizing the value of big data, right? While technology has evolved today, and it has become relatively cost effective as well. I can even use the word technology has evolved to become cheap as well. So to the extent that there is the volume and velocity of data generated today is humongous. However, are organizations really able to leverage the value out of the data? The answer is no. And why is that, right? So if you look at the chart below, it talks about the data value chain, right? Data on its own, right, is really low on value. It's good to have data, but then what you do with just data, it's not actionable, right? So if I can use an analogy, it is like coal, right? Now, to get diamonds out of it, right, it has to undergo processing, right? So the next level in the value chain is information, right? And if you look at information, the challenge with just based on what data you have collected, whatever information you get out of it, is strictly backward looking. It's like looking at the rear view mirror, right? It's still not very actionable, and it's still not valuable because it only talks about what has happened in the past. While it's a good indicator for what might happen in the future, but it's not the entire story, right? Then comes the insight. So let's say we are able to generate some basic descriptive and prescriptive insights out of this. It still doesn't capture the what, how, and why of the customer decision-making process. So that's still a gap, right? And that still ends up being a challenge along the data value chain. And for it to be really actionable, right, you need to have personalized nudges or interventions along each step of the customer journey for a higher engagement, right? For a higher order engagement. So these are some of the challenges. There is vast amounts of data generated, but today, because of the gaps and inefficiencies in the system, the power of the data, most organizations are not able to leverage, right? So moving on, how can OSG help, right? And how can this problem be overcome, right? That is by understanding not only the past behavior or past historical data, what it says, but also the how and why of the customer decision-making process, right? So the typical analytics journey talks about the who, which customer, what they did, and the what, right? But it never talks about how and why, and that's where OSG can add a significant value, right? And how do we do that? It's a very simple, it's a very powerful and simple tool called AceMap, which was developed out of Stanford, which is the power behind our ability to uncover the how and why of the customer decision-making process, right? It helps customers make trade-offs and helps clients understand what are the one or two most important things to my set of customers, and to be able to talk to that, to be able to meet that, what is it that I need to do as a brand or a product or a retailer or a financial services player. So that's really what it does, and it's a very powerful methodology. It shows anywhere between 35 to 52% improvement over other methods in order to uncover and understand customer choice. It not only gives you importance, but it also gives you the magnitude of importance, right? So for example, if I'm a customer, I say, okay, these are the 5 things important to me, right? And that's typically what we say, right? If we want to go buy, let's say, a car, we say it has to have safety is an important feature. It has to be in a particular price point that is important. It has to have a nice heat and AC, leather seats. So, it could vary from person to person, right? But it doesn't tell me how much is price important to me compared to something else. How much is safety important to me compared to something else? I just had a newborn in the family, my first one. So for me now, everything that I look up is from a safety angle, right? Because I want to make sure that when my baby travels, there is nothing that comes in the way of her safety, right? So for me, safety suddenly has assumed a significantly more importance than the other features of a product, right? So it helps me tell or communicate with my with OEMs. Hey, for me, safety is the most important feature. And if you can talk to me about safety, you have me. And if you can convince me that safety, your product has the best safety features compared to everybody else in the market, then you have me as a buyer. So that's really what AceMap helps uncover. It not only tells you what is important, but it also tells you by how much it is important and the magnitude of importance, which helps organizations make informed decisions. It also helps organizations prioritize their investments behind those 1 or 2 things that can give a significant impact in terms of business outcomes. Moving on. Pardon me there. That was just me getting a little more excited, I guess. And if you look at what I just said earlier, what we do is we look at what has happened and we marry that with what will happen, why and what can businesses do about them, right? So on the left side of this chart, right, it's a readiness for success on the y-axis and analytics in the business and x-axis. Typically, there are lots of data silos in an organization, right? There are raw internal data in both structured and unstructured manner. Then there is structured internal data. Then you have social media and other ad hoc data, CRM and other data. So now through all of this, when you combine and create a unified data set and then analyze them, you get to learn what has a customer done in the past, right? But you still do not know if the customer will do the same things in the future, moving forward. That's where really behavioral analytics comes in. It helps marry the historical behavior of a customer with what he or she might be doing in the future, right? And that's powered by trade-off and by knowing what is important to them and why. So when we marry this, the power of ACE map and behavioral analytics with what has happened in the past, that gives a very strong and good indicator of what will happen in the future, helping organizations design strategic interventions based on the different customer segments, cohorts, and what they need. And this could be anywhere from a simple pricing decision to the right messaging strategy to even new product development or a service innovation, right? So that's really what it does, because it helps you develop actionable micro segments, and it provides actionable insights that can help drive innovation and growth. That's really the secret sauce, and that's how we help organizations differentiate themselves and grow faster than the market. And the end outcome of all this is really organizations get a clear understanding of what are the different jobs that the customer is trying to do, what are his or her needs along that journey, right? And what are the outcomes that they expect for each step of the journey. Once organizations come to know of this, then you know what are the unmet needs, which could help you design a product, new product or a service innovation. It can also help you understand what feature modifications are required in an existing product line, right? How should I communicate, right? If, for example, sometimes a product might have a set of features or benefits that the customer is looking at, but customer is just not aware of it, right? This happens to so many of us. We don't get to see the fine prints, or sometimes we don't give importance when we buy a product, but it does have a feature, right? I mean, sometimes we do not know what are the different features our credit card offers, for example, right? And sometimes one of those features, like for example, a travel insurance. I travel a lot, at least 40% of my time. So for me, anything that covers on travel insurance and even lounge access is a very critical aspect, right? For a card. Sometimes we are not aware of it, and that becomes an important benefit. And once a product starts communicating to that makes the product more endearing for me, right? As an end user. Similarly, how do we also help today? We are in a very advanced world as far as technology and reach outs are concerned, with Alexa, Google Voice, and whatnot. So in an evolved world, in a very technologically driven world, how do we also drive personalized nudges? I mean, a lot of us get reminders from, so when we shop on Amazon is the perfect example, right? When we shop on Amazon, it says, hey, you looked for these products before. That doesn't mean I'm going to look for them again. It gives a recommendation saying people looking for these products look for something else, right? Or look for a certain type of products. That is again a nudge saying, hey, this might interest you, right? Helping you shop that and drive revenue growth for Amazon. So those are all the kind of personalizations that can be done. So let's say I own a car, and I go to a auto retailer for, let's say, servicing my car, and I do it, let's say, every 3-4 months, right? I do an oil change every 5 months, and I'm a heavy user of my car. And it's been 6 months. I've not gone back. So I'm in the area. So the auto retailer can send me a personalized nudge. Hey, if you want to do it, it's been time. Why don't you come and we'll give you a 5% coupon, and that'll probably nudge me to go there, in case that's the only reason I've not gone there, right? Of course, there could be other parameters. Service was not good, so I've moved away from the area. That could be other reasons. But in case you're still there, and through geo trackers, if we can lock your location very close to the thing, that can be a very personalized nudge saying, you'll get a 10% off on your next oil change. You do it now, it's way past due. Those are all the possibilities that we are able to deliver. That's really the outcome of this process. I would like to illustrate this with a case study, right? And the case study is in for a global health insurer, where we helped the global health insurer segment their customers, understand their lifetime value, and predict how they want to engage with the different customer cohorts, so that they are able to drive a profitable growth. So the fundamental problem was, this was about a decade-old health insurer who was trying to turn the corner on profitability, but their clients ratio was very high, and also lapse rate of new customers were very high. They were looking to see how can I effectively engage with the different customer cohorts I have, so that I help, so that they can grow faster, but in a profitable manner, right? Approach we took to that was what I just said earlier in one of the slides, which is to combine the past data with the behavioral aspects of the customer. So we created a unified database based on the transaction and clients data from the client database. We identified the different fields that are required to create that, so that we have that. Then we created different analytical models, right? One to predict what is the lapse risk, and hence the lapse risk score of a customer. Similarly, what is the clinical risk? So this we leveraged a global proprietary clinical risk assessment platform to be able to do that, to uncover the clinical risk score. Then, of course, what is the claim risk score based on the clinical risk? What is the possibility or probability of a claim being made by a customer? And then what is the behavioral health risk score? How is it different to a clinical risk score? A behavioral health risk score really talks about what are my behaviors? Am I exercising regularly? Am I not exercising regularly? What is my body weight? So we were able to uncover that. And what drives my choice? Why am I overweight? Is it because of my work life, or is it because I like to eat out? What are those triggers, right? And how would I like to be engaged? So combining all this, we developed two things. We created a customer lifetime value model, and also we were able to add behavioral triggers to that segmentation that was an outcome of the customer lifetime value model. Through that, we were able to generate a lot of descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics for the client, helping target members for retention, cross-sell, upsell, pricing actions, as well as for engagement, right? Because what happened was, it helped them identify high-risk customers, so that they can look at developing intervention programs and engaging with them, so that the chance of a claim goes down, and they're able to manage the condition, so that they don't have to do a huge payout in the end, right? So we were able to also touch upon the different touch points that a customer gets in touch with, be it at the website through which sometimes they source, through their channel partners, which are banks and agents, their own contact centers, provider networks, and through the renewal process. So that's really the approach that we took. And the results were really, in a very short span of time, we were able to bring about close to a 10% reduction in their lapse rate, which was a huge problem when we went in. And actually, the customer cohort that was lapsing was really the younger customers whom you want to stay longer with you, so that the chance of claim goes down. So we were able to change that on its head. We were also able to drive cross-sell and upsell activities, where once there is a baby added to the family, we were able to show ways by which they can increase the coverage, right? The value for which it is covered. And this is in an emerging market where it is the health insurance is still a retail product, where it is the customer who goes and buys, rather than unlike the Western market, where you get it through either the organizations that you work for are now the much debated Obamacare policy as well. Then we were able to help them put in place a health and clinical risk management process and policy, and also a wellness program adherence system, because that also helped them make sure that claims ratio goes down. And then it also helped them come about with new product and pricing strategies based on what customers said as important to them. They were able to identify gaps in the portfolio strategy and then come up with newer products, and then also have differential pricing for different customer cohorts. So for a customer cohort which has a very positive behavior, they are willing to give a discount to encourage that, right? So those were the kind of things that we were able to implement. And more importantly, on the bottom line, it did bring about the cost of claims. Both the number and the absolute cost of claims went down in a relatively short span of time, which also showed the effectiveness of leveraging behavioral analytics. So in addition to just looking at the data, if you add the behavioral triggers and understand what is important to customers and why, and also the magnitude of importance, helps organizations make more effective, informed, and actionable decisions, helping them gain real value, both in terms of top line growth and bottom line savings. So that's really what we had to cover today. At this point in time, I would like to stop and open up for any questions that the group might have. And in case you want to reach out to us later, please write to me at jyotiram.athray@osganalytics.com, or our President and CEO, Dr. Sukumar, r.sukumar@osganalytics.com. So at this point in time, I would like to stop. Thank you for taking the time to attend the webinar, and then open up for any questions that some of you might have.
Thank you, Jyoti. One question we have is, what can we do with big data to improve customer experiences?
So one of the things is, a key aspect, excuse me, key aspect of experience, right, is understanding first what does the customer expect, right? So I walk into a bank very rarely these days, right? But when I walk into a bank or even a retail store, I expect a certain level of service, right? Because today you can do pretty much everything with respect to a bank or a purchasing decision sitting at the convenience of your couch, right, at home. So if I have to walk into a retail store, I look at certain things, and service being the first and foremost thing. Understanding that expectation of mine, which is saying service is the most important thing to this guy walking through my door, will help organizations design experience that will help secure engagement, right? Which will make me an engaged and endearing customer to that retailer or bank. So an important aspect that is missed in how customer experience is measured today is knowing what is important to the different customer groups that somebody has. Once we know that, you can actually design experiences basis each of those different cohorts, basis what is important to each of those cohorts. So that's missing today, and that's where behavioral analytics can come in and play a major role. Hope I've answered that question, Geeta.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. We'll be following up with the attendees and registrants with a recording of this presentation. And should you have further questions, the contact for Dr. Sukumar and Jyotiram Athreya is on the screen. With that, we thank you for your time and wish you a very good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for attending. Have a great rest of the day ahead. Bye-bye.